Hey, day 78 the lockdown, never ending story. And I hear people saying, dude, ain't nobody on lockdown no more. You haven't been watching the news? People are outside protesting. I was like, I get it. But for the sake of these videos that I've been doing for 78 straight days, I just say 78 because technically not everything's open. So today's Military Monday. And I was trying to think of a good military story that was relevant to what's going on in the country. And one that made the most sense, and I'm sure I've told it before at some point on my podcast or anything, was when I was stationed at NAB Coronado. There's a lot of Navy SEALs on that base. And we always made sure every shift, now there was 2 shifts a day. So how our shifts worked was 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. There was 2 shifts a day. So basically there was 4 different shifts because you would work Monday, Tuesday, then you'd be off, you work Monday, Tuesday, be off Wednesday, Thursday. Then you work Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then you're off Monday, Tuesday. Then you work Wednesday, Thursday. Then you're off Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So every other weekend you were working, but every other weekend was a 3-day weekend. So there's basically 4 shifts at the police station. That's it. You got the people working these days, people working the other days. So every shift, every single one, all 4 shifts had one Navy SEAL temporarily assigned to our police force on NAB Coronado for 6 months. And reason being was we had a lot of Bud students. We had a lot of Navy SEALs on our base. So if one of the Navy SEALs or one of the Bud students start acting up, going nuts, basically Navy SEALs, for lack of a better term, are trained killers. And I don't care how much police training you have, they have more training than you. And it was so smart because we'd always have one Navy SEAL on every shift just in case something happened on the SEAL side of the base. One side of the base was the Navy, the other side was the SEAL side of the base. And we kind of left the SEAL side alone and they left us alone. They basically governed themselves. But every now and then you might have somebody drunk or a fight or something on that side of the base. We got to go over there. But for the most part, they kind of govern themselves. But just in case, and it never happened. I never had some Navy SEAL go off the wall or something crazy happen. But we always had a Navy SEAL just in case because they knew him. You know, it was a small base, so they had a rapport with them. So we had somebody basically that knew what was going on in the psyche of Navy SEALs. And it always, once I got out of the military, and then I would start to see the police cases. And a lot of times when we see a white cop hurting or arresting or killing a black person, sometimes it was just a psychopath, an asshole. Other times it was because the cop was scared. But I always thought, if you would always have somebody on every single shift, on every patrol from that neighborhood, whatever it was. And let's just say it's a black neighborhood. Let's say it's an inner city black neighborhood. You cannot have 2 white patrolmen that don't live in that neighborhood patrolling that area. You got to have at least one black. If you got 2 policemen in every car, one of them should be black, no matter what. Hire more black officers. And then on every shift, somebody has to be from that neighborhood that knows people. And it just made so much sense to me. Back when I was at NAB Coronado, I was like, this makes perfect sense. Because I even asked, I said, why is there always like a Navy SEAL temporary assigned to every shift? Because it didn't make sense to me, because you go through all that training to be a Navy SEAL. You don't want to be assigned to the police force. For what? That wasn't your goal when you went through Hell Week and Budge training and underwater demolition and everything else. It wasn't to run around in a patrol car for 6 months, but it got explained to me why. And I go, oh, that makes sense. And it's always made sense to me. I never understood that. That way, when you do come in contact with situations, somebody has a rapport with that neighborhood, or you know somebody in that neighborhood, And I think it would stop a lot of these police brutality cases, because when you're rolling up on scene, uh, you're not just rolling up on somebody you don't know. Somebody in your car or on that shift knows that person. Another thing I think would help would be if a police officer, if you're a white police officer or a black one, and you get assigned to a neighborhood where not everybody looks like you, it should be mandatory for, I'm sorry, if a white police officer gets assigned to a black neighborhood, it should just be mandatory for that police officer to have to go to a high school football game or a high school basketball game or anything where you're not seeing the neighborhood at its worst. Because most of the time, cops' only interaction with, especially if you're a white cop and you don't live in the neighborhood, you get assigned to an inner city black neighborhood or a black neighborhood, a black suburb or anything. Most of the time, you're only coming in contact with people when they're at their worst. You're not coming in contact when they're just having a normal day. But if you make sure you're involved in the community that you are patrolling, it just seems, sometimes things seem so obvious to me. I'm sure a police officer, you're going to get to go to the games for free, hang out. Who doesn't like a high school football game or basketball game? And then you get a rapport with the students and the parents and the teachers and the uncles and the aunts, and then they know you. And then maybe if they do something wrong, you're not pulling up going, freeze, get out. Who are you? You're going, hey, Derek. Hey, Paul. What are you doing, man? To me, it always made sense. But that's my Military Monday story today. I thought it was relevant and I thought it was timely with what's going on. And I'm sure I've told that story before, but it just, in these times, it seemed like it was timely to tell that story again. All right. Well, I'll see you guys tomorrow.